Before we continue on, House of David. So we've been doing House of David reviews. Second season has been, I think, pretty great. Interesting, my wife has struggled staying engaged and connected with it. Before I share thoughts, we're looking at, again, House of David, Amazon Prime, Wonder Project, Season 2. We're reviewing Episode 7. Before any of us share thoughts, I want to get Vinny. Vinny, what are your thoughts on the episode?
I really enjoyed it.
So the title was A Royal Wedding.
Yeah. It was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster because it's one part super romantic. He finally gets to marry the daughter that he wanted to marry, that he was actually in love with.
Michael, yes.
Yes. And then literally the day of the wedding, whisperings are happening and it just immediately falls apart. And so while that was frustrating and watching the episode, it's like you want to be so happy for David and Michael, and it's just like not happening.
Right. It's a short-lived enjoyment.
Yeah.
And the rug gets ripped out from under you. Just for context, and again, these reviews have spoilers, so if you haven't watched it, they do play part of the other story at work within the episode is so who is Samuel anointed to be king? Saul knows, Abner knows, Samuel has anointed someone that but we don't know the identity. In a previous episode, we know that the patriarch of the tribe of Judah, he knows, he even tells Saul earlier on, he gives him a false name.
Has family murdered.
Exactly. So there's this storyline. Well, he ends up, David kind of takes a stand. I don't care what you think. And so this character goes to Ishbal, who's Ishbosheth, biblically, one of the other sons of Saul, gives him the identity. It's David. And so they kind of circle all the way back. You find out that Ishbal has been traitorous. He's been pulling some things behind the scenes. He's been doing some things.
Tearing the family apart.
He's been doing things to kind of play he's playing his own cards to try to assume power. He ends up killing his wife, who I had, Dina.
Yep.
I kind of enjoyed her character, and then he pushes her. That was a big shocking moment.
You guys talked about how you didn't like that scene. I really enjoyed the scene because it was shocking.
It was shocking. There was a shock value. And
I had to rewind it and be like, whoa, what? I knew he was kind of a slime ball, but
yeah, the whole episode was like that. It's like, oh, it's all romantic. They're getting married. And then it's like, oh my gosh, the wedding's falling apart. She won't even let him stay in bed with her. So
you really when we got here, you were like, hey, awesome episode.
Yeah.
You really loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. It kept me engaged.
Before you got here, we were all like, hey, what do you think of the episode? Universally, what do we say, Creighton? No, not even that. I said worst episode of both seasons.
It did not keep me engaged.
It's the only episode I've really watched. I usually zone out and end up playing on my phone.
I was zoned out playing on my phone this entire episode.
That just was the opposite.
Yeah.
So I did not like the episode. It didn't do it for me. That being said, to give a fair criticism, I won't even say a fair criticism because it's not a criticism. This is more of an attempt to understand what they're doing. So there's two components to this. One is, so they already teased at the beginning of the season. It was the second episode, the beginning of the second episode. They open with the scene of David coming in, Saul saying, "Are you the Lord's anointed?" And did Samuel anoint you? And then David says, "No, God did." And he throws the sword.
See, that scene I really enjoyed.
Right.
Because when David goes, "No," I was like, lying's always a mistake. Don't lie, David. That's a bad idea. Why would they make David lie? And he goes, God did. I was like, oh,
right.
And I was like, oh, I really enjoyed that scene. I really liked it.
So they gave you that tease, episode 2, first scene, indicating, again, following the pattern of how they did season 1, that coming back around to that scene, like that's kind of the bookends. So like just how season 1 began with David taking on Goliath, then it goes back, tells us the story, and ends with David taking on Goliath. They gave us like the tease that that the season would end, like this season 2 would deal with this section of David's life from the victory over Goliath to him on the lam. So him running from Saul. That would be the bookends. From the chronological standpoint of the Bible, I would have, like, there's nothing in the scriptures that say that David and Michal, like, that this all blows up on their wedding night. Like, that's not a biblical thing. At the same time, I mean, how much of this time period are you going to spend? Like, you have eight episodes. You're going to try to get to this point in time. I can at least understand the creative license, because I'm going to assume the next episode, as they probably go to Michal, David runs. Like they're going to get David on the run. They're skipping some things. But again, in the big story arc, like you're picking and choosing. There's a bit of an editorial license. So I'm okay. I'm okay with that. You're going to jump in real quick.
Well, yeah, just because that scene was the only scene that like took me from looking at my phone to, whoa, what just happened?
That was the only scene?
Yeah, pretty much. This spear throwing thing. And because at that point, I was just like, because we just got through at 3:16 going through this where Saul throws a spear at David. David runs.
It's like 3 times.
And he basically, and he basically just gives up on Michal. And yes, I said it right.
It's Michal.
And
Dr. Karen Dodson agrees.
And that you're just like, how could you just throw away your wife like that? But once he did it on the night of the wedding kind of thing, that short time period of being married and that happening is just kind of like, oh, he hasn't been married long enough to actually understand what it means to be that husband.
It wasn't Twitter pated.
Yeah. It kind of like, it kind of all like made sense to me. Like the short-lived marriage and then this happening, all the rest of the consequences of that kind of made a little bit more sense.
That's completely fair.
I would actually disagree. I think that they have painted themselves into a bit of a corner. Because how do we go from this? If the next episode is David goes on the run, how do we go from there to Michal despising him and make it believable?
Well, I can answer that.
Please do, because I feel like that's going to come off. Because I mean, she has to. There's a whole lot of character growth that has to happen. I'll play her and David.
I will play that out.
Okay,
from a biblical standpoint.
Please do.
So, David flees because his life is under threat. Michal, when confronted, lies. She was part of him escaping, but she'll later lie about it and put the blame on David, which was a terrible mistake on her part. David's on the run. There's no connection between the two of them from a biblical standpoint, which is interesting to me because David does have contact with Jonathan. Mm-hmm. And then the next time there's this interaction.
And he did in that episode too. As he was on the run, he ran into Jonathan on the road. And Jonathan's like, what are you doing out here? You just got married.
You must be in episode 8.
I think you might have watched the next episode because I have not seen the scene that you're talking about.
I have not seen that scene.
Oh, my bad.
I have not seen that scene. Haven't gotten there yet. But the so David flees, and Saul will give Michal to another man. Mm-hmm. And she'll be married to another man while David's on the run for quite a bit of time. And it seems as though that there's at least a genuine relationship because when David later on comes to the throne and he's trying to put pieces together, he tells Abner, like, you're only coming back if you bring my wife with you. So Abner like shows up and like, dude, you got to give her.
Oh, that's right, and just steals her.
And
from
just like, and
her
he's
new
like
husband.
crying, like, please don't. And Abner's like, dude, you're gonna die if you don't just turn around and go home. Like, he takes her, and then Michael shows up, and guess what? David's got 2 wives at this point. So you can see how that plays itself out.
No, you're right. That does.
Yes.
I was thinking you would need to do more to sour their relationship prior to him going
Let
on a
me
run,
give
but I
you
guess
the second point quickly. To be fair, so I hated, like, I soured on the Ishbal storyline. I didn't like it at all. But to be fair, it did get me to ask it an important question. And I have taught through all of this recently. I'm still in the life of David.
Yeah.
It's very fresh. It the way that the episode worked forced me to ask a question I had not asked or considered in the story up until this point. And I had to go back and do some studying to see if I was wrong on it. And I learned something. So I will give the episode credit for this. Let me ask you guys. We know the story. David's a shepherd boy. God has removed his anointing from Saul. Samuel was instrumental in that. Samuel goes to Bethlehem, goes to the house of Jesse. Samuel anoints David. Does Saul know that? No. Nobody knows that David's been anointed other than Jesse, his brothers, and Samuel. That's it. Now, people know that Samuel came to town, sure. I mean, it's a small community. That might have been known. And we do know that later on, there is a predicate. There's a reason that Saul's throwing spears at David and wants to kill David, right? Because Saul, at least by chapter 22 of 1 Samuel, realizes that Samuel has anointed David to be king. And we know that because word gets that David has fled to Samuel and the priests. Doeg is a part of that, and a whole bunch of priests die. But it is then that, like, the moment that David flees to Samuel, it's become clear to everybody involved that David was anointed by Samuel to be the replacement. Saul knows that the kingdom has been taken and given to another. That's all he knows. We know Samuel's given it to David by anointing. Here's the question. I know that was a big lead in. When is the moment that Saul knows that David is the next anointed king?
I cannot answer that. I have no idea.
I mean, I would say when he marries his daughter.
Nope.
He throws a spear at him.
Nope. Here's the interesting thing. You go back to 1 Samuel and you read through it again. The text doesn't tell you when Saul concludes that David has been anointed to be his replacement. At no point. Now, by chapter 22, which David is now already on the run, it's confirmed. Like, by that point, tea leaves have been lined up. But there's never a moment within the text. Why does he throw spears at David? Is it because he knows that David is the next anointed? Or is it because he's a crazy person throwing spears at all kinds of people? Like, the text insinuates that there might be a sense within Saul that he recognizes God's hand on David. I mean, David did take on Goliath. But at no point, if Saul knew that David he would never let his daughter marry him. Like he's giving him access to the throne. He's included him in the courts. So, to be fair, and I'm on the record, I don't like the episode. But what they have creatively decided to do, which again, I got to be okay with, is they are providing an answer to an unanswerable question. How does Saul know that David's been anointed? Or how does he even get to the point he asked David to then throw a spear at him? Is that somebody in the tribe of Judah witnessed Samuel coming, knows who it was, and now has equipped another son of Saul with the information that puts Saul over the edge and blows it all apart. Now, none of that's biblical. None of it's biblical. But they are at least working within a framework of creative license that I can be okay with. That makes sense?
Yep.
I mean, I had to kind of work through that.
Yeah, because when he was sitting there whispering to everybody at the wedding, that's when I went back and read it, and none of that's in there. And so I was like, well, they took a little creative license with that, but
oh yeah, all of that for sure.
It makes so much sense.
Again, they're not. And okay, so Creighton came in. We were talking the Ishbosheth storyline. You didn't get, but then when you get further down, when Saul, Jonathan die in battle, David is now right. Like the kingdom gets split for 2 years. Like David only becomes king of Judah in Hebron. The other tribes rally around Ishbosheth because Abner backs Ishbosheth. So like them laying the framework of Ishbal, you know, maybe in cahoots with some other people groups or however that works. Again, you dig a little deeper. Like my first reaction, worst episode. The more I think about it and unpack it, I still don't like the episode. But, story development, you could come back and be like, this is a pivoting episode.
We say worst episode, but I think that this being the worst episode actually speaks very highly of the rest of the season. Because it's not a terrible episode, but it is the worst episode of the season. If we're talking like it's the worst episode, watch the show because the show is very good.
It's great. The show's great.
This is the worst episode of a very good season.
I think, Creighton, I appreciate...
Do you know what I mean?
And I appreciate you saying that because, again, this is a review of House of David. We would not be spending any time reviewing episodes of a show if we didn't really like the show.
Agreed.
Yeah,
For me, this is fantastic.
For me, by worst episode, it means like every other episode has captured my attention for the majority of the episode.
Yeah.
This one did not. And that's what I mean by worst episode. Not that meaning that it was terrible. I just...
By worst episode, I'm saying it's better than everything else I watch because it's in the Bible.
Right.
Like, again, like we are being negative, but we're being negative within the context that hands down watch House of David before you watch any other crap on TV. Yeah. This is better than anything you watch on HBO.
And then watch Zach's sermons on c316.org.
TV.
Thanks for at least nailing the website.
Dude, you got so many. Churchofthedumb.com.
Tithe.es.
Tithe.es. What other ones do we have out there that lead all back to the same website?
Outlawchurch.org.
Right.
Outlawchurch.com.
Go to any of those and you'll be able to see the
If you type in anything.org or .com, it's going to go to Calvary 316.
My favorite might be CalvaryBethlehem.com.
Yep.